meeting the Statutory Licensing Committee. This meeting is being broadcast live over the internet and will be available to view online now and in the future. We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I've had no requests for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Members in the chamber, please be aware that we are all on camera and you may be visible on screen when people around you are speaking, and please remember to speak clearly into your microphones. Members taking part remotely, can you please refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you'd like to speak. Please remember to keep your microphone muted when you're not talking. Moving on to the agenda, we go straight to agenda item 1, which is attendance and apologies. Chris, do you have any apologies, please?
No apologies today, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Members, do you have any interest to declare? No. Right, agenda item 3, minutes of the last meeting, which was on the 14th of July 2022, and on pages 3 to 6 of your agenda. Could you possibly state whether do you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as approved. Okay then, we'll approve those. Go on to agenda item 4, which are minutes of the previous licensing hearings, pages 7 to 36. You all read those minutes? You all happy with them? Okay, thanks. Right, we go on to agenda item 5, which is workload update, quarters 1 and 2, April to September. They're on pages 37 to 48 of your agenda pack. Robin, could you deliver the report, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll just share my screen so that the committee can see the report as I go through it. Obviously, I appreciate that the panelists, the committee have seen it in advance of the meeting today, but just for everyone's benefit, I will sort of go through the report. So this report is to update the committee on the work undertaken by the licensing team during the first 2 quarters of the year, so April 2022 to September 2022. And there's the work that relates to the Licensing Act 2003 and Gambling Act 2005, so the statutory work that we do. In terms of the Licensing Act, there have been 17 complaints received during the reporting period in relation to premises licensed to sell alcohol. The majority of complaints received have been in relation to allegations of noise nuisance, and that was dealt with by environmental health. So information in relation to those complaints have been shared with colleagues in the environmental health team. Where potential breaches of licensing hours and or conditions have been identified, officers from the team have undertaken joint visits with environmental health. And given advice as appropriate. One premises in Torvine has been subject to a number of complaints, including allegations of noise nuisance, selling alcohol to persons under the legal age, and opening beyond permitted licensing hours. A joint approach has been undertaken in relation to the complaints received, with officers working alongside colleagues from Gwent Police and the Council's environmental health team. A meeting was arranged to take place with officers present from all of the responsible authorities, as well with the premises licence holder, designated premises supervisor and area manager responsible for the premises. So that was a joint meeting, police licensing and the licence holders and area managers kind of agree a strategy to kind of resolve issues moving forward. So the complaints and allegations received were discussed and a course of action agreed with all parties. There have been 7 new premises licence applications submitted during the reporting period. 9 representations to 6 of those applications have been received from responsible authorities who requested that conditions offered as part of the application process were amended to make them more robust and enforceable. Additional conditions have also been requested for some applications in order to ensure the promotion of one or more of the 4 licensing objectives. When a representation is received, the licensing officer will liaise with both the applicant and the responsible authority or interested party as appropriate to discuss the representation with the aim of reaching a mutual agreement in order to negate the need for the application to be determined at the licensing panel. It's not that we particularly don't want the application to come before members, but it's obviously better for everybody if the objector and the applicant can kind of come to agreement, as they'll have to obviously live and work together. So we try and get them to come to an agreement as best we can. Obviously, where that's not possible, then matters are referred to the licensing panel. So all of the 7 applications have been granted at officer level following each of the representations being withdrawn as an agreement has been reached between the 2 parties, the applicant and the objector. In terms of the Gambling Act 2005, there have been no complaints made. So those are the two areas covered under the Statutory Licensing Committee umbrella. I've now moved to the workload activity report. So the work activities undertaken are detailed in Appendix A. They include or detail the number of service requests dealt with by the team in relation to providing business advice, and that is high, as evidenced in the activity report. Service requests can relate to pre-application advice in relation to licence held, or general queries about any aspect of licensing. Work is ongoing in relation to website development in order to signpost members of the public and applicants to any advice that they may require, and that work activity is not captured within the activity report, which is Appendix A. The report shows that officer resources have been focused towards achieving annual targets set for the team, and we did have a vacant post that was filled in January 2022, so training and development for that officer is ongoing. We're also in the process of developing an online application system that will create benefits for members of the trade as well as for the team, including making the application process more streamlined. Members will be kept updated as that project progresses, but that also isn't captured. The work involved in that isn't captured within the activity report. I'll just refer to Appendix A just for the committee's benefit. So this has been circulated in advance, and it just provides statistics showing number of inspections, premises licence, complaints received, etc. So the work that we've undertaken is all detailed in that report. In terms of policy, there's no update in relation to any policy development or review. As the committee will no doubt be aware, we have the Statement of Licensing Policy issued under the Licensing Act 2003 and Statement of Gambling Principles issued under the Gambling Act 2005. The Licensing Policy, Licensing Act 2003 policy, we're required to review every 5 years, and the Gambling Policy every 3 years. Those were done in the previous financial year, so they're not due to be reviewed again, although we do keep the policies under review, and if any changes are needed, then a draft policy will be brought before the committee, but at present there's nothing to present in respect of that. There have been no complaints against the service, so there's nothing in respect of that to be reported to the committee. And as this report is for information discussion, there's been no consultation on the report as such. So I'll now move to the recommendations for this report. So they are that the committee firstly note and comment on the contents of the report, and secondly note the activity report for from April 2022 to September 2022. Apologies, I don't think October should be in that recommendation. So that just needs to be amended. But yeah, so the recommendations are note and comment on the contents of the report, and secondly, note the activity report for April 22 to September 22. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Robin. Members, any questions on the report? Comments? No. Okay, then the recommendations are on page 39 of your agenda. As Robin just highlighted, there's a mistake there which we'll take out, the October. Those for the recommendations? Everybody for? Okay. Anybody against the recommendations? No. Anybody abstaining? No. Okay then, members, thank you. Agenda item 6, the date of the next meeting, for your information, is scheduled to take place on the 16th of February 2023. We go on to agenda item 7 now, which is exclusion of the press and public. So I've got this legal statement I've got to read out every time, apparently. Exclusion of press and public. To agree the exclusion of the press and public from the meeting as presentations and meeting papers are not for publication, because in accordance with paragraphs 12 and 14 of Part 4 of Schedule 12A, of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended by the Access to Information Variation Order Wales 2007. It contains information about a particular individual and information relating to the financial and business affairs of particular persons, including the council, and in all circumstances of the case, the public interest in maintaining the exemptions outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information. So we stop recording and move on to agenda